Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Edge. As always, we continue to welcome your feedback and suggestions. So feel free to send an email to entrep@abn360.com or contact us via Twitter on EntrePEdge. Still with us in studio is Lindani Dhlamini, CEO and co-founder of leading accounting firm SekelaXabiso. Now, before the break, we chatted about your educational initiatives, but something that you're also very proud of is the type of working environment you foster for your employees, especially for your female employees.
Yes.
Important to foster work-life balance?
I think as a woman and as a mother and as a wife, it was very important for me to create an environment where a woman would thrive, because the reality is even today women still carry more of the family raising burden than men do. Also, the reality is women today have bigger aspirations than just being mothers and daughters and husbands and wives and sisters. So we needed to create an environment where a woman could fulfill all these aspirations and not feel that they are lacking in one aspect of their lives. And I think we have been successful in that, in the sense that again, our profession is very much male-dominated.
Patriarchal in a sense.
It is, but you will find at all levels in our organization, we are represented close to a 50-50 representation, women to men.
And a big part of that is flexible working hours.
A big part of that is recognizing that as mothers, sometimes you have to go and watch a school play or the like, and we've provided flexible working hours for our people.
Now, BEE and gender empowerment is sometimes just a box that companies tick in order to be compliant. Those two aspects, how proud and how important are they to the company as a whole?
They're at the forefront of everything that we do. When we started Xabiso years and years ago, we wanted to create an environment where a black professional could thrive, and a black professional could be, could be proud that they were part of this family. And that's something that we continue to do at SekelaXabiso, where we're very conscious of the history of our country and very conscious that we need to be creating opportunities for people that might not have had previously. So we're very conscious of that, the fact that we support the BEE initiatives, because it's something bigger. For me, BEE is not just about having a company owned by black people. It's realizing that to run a successful business, you need to tap into a market. And that market in this country is predominantly black. So you cannot have a business that ignores such a huge market base. And in terms of women empowerment, I'm a woman. I'm very pro the development of women. I think women bring a different perspective to business. We're not the same as men, but we do bring a different perspective, and that can only enhance the benefit they can only enhance the business.
Now, speaking of enhancing the business, we know you recently went through a very successful merger.
Yes.
Now SekelaXabiso. Mergers are sometimes very tricky things.
Yes.
You're taking two corporate entities with their own corporate cultures. How smooth was the transition in bringing these two families together? And what has the strategy been to foster now a unified sense of culture in the company?
The merger between Xabiso and Sekela, we truly believe, has been a natural fit, in the sense that Sekela is an organization that we have already been working with for close to 7 years in one of our biggest projects at Transnet. So from that sense, it's not a merger of two separate companies that have never interacted before. And the reason we decided that at this point in time it was time to actually formalize this working arrangement, it's because we've tested it for 9 years. It has worked exceptionally well for 9 years, and we do believe that the market is ready for an organization of our size and an organization that looks the way we do.
Is it easy to match the values though?
We're very complementary, and again, because these are two entrepreneurial businesses that were literally started around the same time, And they were started by entrepreneurs that had big visions and wanted to achieve great things. So we found the values very complementary.
Now, it's an industry of ethics and principles. We know a few years ago the whole Arthur Andersen debacle.
Yes.
How important in this industry is it to foster those ethical principles and also to ensure that you have the right staff pushing the company ahead and also dealing with clients and very sensitive financial information?
We just, as a professional services firm, we are bound by our code of ethics, by our regulator. And the fortunate thing we have, particularly in this country, is that our regulator in the accounting profession is very active, and they monitor. And I think through the initiatives of our regulator, we've seen that South Africa is ranked amongst the top performing countries in terms of auditing standards. We are actually one of the best. And it's because we have a regulator that is very strict on how we do business, on how we foster that level of trust with our clients, and issues around confidentiality and trust, that just comes second nature to us, because that's our business. We deal with sensitive information, we deal with delicate information, but we've got professional standards that we adhere to and we just don't compromise on.
And speaking of your client, everybody talks about that big fish client.
Yes.
The one that I want and I'm going to get that.
Yes.
Which are some of the most notable clients you've had over the years, and which are you most proud of?
We're proud of all our clients. And the reason we're proud of all our clients is because they took a chance on us. They took a risk on an unknown entity, and we've achieved amazing things. But I think it's worth mentioning some of the key ones that have really propelled us to get to this point that we are at today. One, for instance, is Transnet, who have supported us for a number of years. We've got the ESCOMs of this world as clients, the PICs, most of the big parastatals and the government departments. The public sector has really supported us to get to this point. And I think we're at a point now where we're saying we're ready, we really are ready to be penetrating other sectors, and other sectors being, for instance, the corporate world. We really are ready. We've geared ourselves. We've got the capacity in terms of the number of people we have. We've got the capacity in terms of the skills depth, and we're ready to tackle that corporate world now.
And talking about growth and expansion, you are in 4 of the 9 provinces at the moment.
Yes.
What are your expansion strategies going forward?
We dream big. We have a Vision 2020, and our Vision 2020 sees us having 1 billion revenues in 2020.
It's 200 million at the moment.
It's 200 million, and if you can think that we got to the 200 million from a base zero, so the 1 billion in 2020 is very much achievable to us, because now we have a foundation that we can just leverage off. We're seeing ourselves operating in the continent, we're seeing ourselves operating internationally, and we think it's an attainable vision.
Because that's my next question. Like I mentioned in my intro, you are up against the traditional big 4, the Deloittes and KPMGs and EYs of the world, but they're very much international and European focused entities that have moved, some with over 100 years of experience on the continent.
Yes.
Is there somehow a gap for a proudly African company that services Africa for Africa by Africa, and then moving ahead on the rest of the continent, perhaps dominating the areas by these international European players?
I truly believe there is, because as Africans we bring a different flavor to things. And as Africans, we understand Africa, and that's certainly the space that we're wanting to be playing on. We want to be a homegrown organization that was grown here at home and can expand into. That's definitely one of our visions, to be that African company that was homegrown and for Africa.
Lindani, we've spoken about the company and your vision for the company, but what do you see for yourself in the medium and the long term going ahead?
As an individual?
Yes.
My key motivators is seeing, like I indicated, one of the things that made me move into running my organization is to have an impact and make a contribution. And one of the things that really motivates me is seeing development, young people development. I've seen a lot of that happening in the last 9 years of my existence. I do believe that the SekelaXabiso merger is just gonna propel that to new heights, where we're really seeing young people coming to our organization develop, and do great things. I'm motivated by the vision of creating a legacy. I do believe in SekelaXabiso we are creating a legacy that our grandchildren will look upon and say they were one of the first multi-billion rand organizations in this space, in our industry, that were homegrown.
And your final word of advice is the entrepreneurial edge. We have a lot of viewers out there. What would be your one key tip for people who want to venture and perhaps start their own businesses and even their own accounting firms one day?
I think my one driving force is you must never fear failure or rejection. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, if you just live by those principles, you will be successful, because you will get a lot of rejection and you will get a lot of failures along the way. But if you have a clear vision of what it is you want to achieve, you must persevere.
I think that's a perfect positive note to leave today's discussion on. Lindani, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
That's all we have time for on this week's edition of The Entrepreneurial Edge. Until next time, it's goodbye and thank you for watching.